I'm Megan Brunick, and I was 24 when I ran the Boston Marathon. Being a competitive runner in college just that's the next step after college. Well, what are you going to do when you leave as far as running goes? And so a lot of my friends from the track team would also talk about joining running clubs, and one of my friends that was also my roommate in college from the cross country and track team ran a lot of road races in the off season, so we just had planned we would run a marathon together. So I bought a book called How to Run Your First Marathon, and there was a training program in there which probably started in September. The Boston Marathon is in April every year, so it was a several months training program building up the mileage, and I also worked out at a gym and lifted weights. The training program just builds up the miles, and you have longer and longer runs, and the longest run that I did before the marathon was 22 miles, and because of my work schedule, I worked 9 to 5 Monday through Friday. A lot of my training was either early in the morning or after work, and because of the months that it was in, those times were often dark. And so when I did a 22-mile run, it was after work and it was in the dark in the winter, and I basically had to run out 11 miles and back 11 miles on dark country roads into the suburbs that I wasn't familiar with, and looking back, that probably wasn't a very safe thing for somebody to do. The training itself was hard. The mileage, the weather in Boston in the winter, being alone every day, getting up and doing the work, that is the hardest part. That's harder than running the marathon. And there's a lot of spirit in Boston leading up to the marathon, so it is fun when you live there too, because inevitably you know people that are also running, and there's a lot of restaurants and bars have different pasta dinners and things like that that you can go to and celebrate with other runners. I ran alone from 0 to 10, and then from 10 to 20, my friend Maureen from college ran with me. She was from one of my teammates in college. And then from 20 to 26, my sister ran with me. I wasn't nervous because I knew I'd have friends to run with, and I followed the program, so I was confident that it was going to prepare me for running the race, and I was excited and looking forward to it. I had read somewhere to eat like donuts and coffee in the morning, so I'm not sure, but I went to this really good donut place in Brighton where I lived called Steve's Donuts. It was really tough, and I just wanted to be able to finish. I just felt like that was sort of a bucket list item. I did have plans to run more. My friend Maureen and I were all at that age. We were going to do all these different marathons, like Dublin Marathon, the Big Sur Marathon, things like New York, but it was, I don't know, life just kept going, and I didn't really have the time to put in the training. It was a great accomplishment. There's a lot of people cheering you on at the end especially, and a lot of people feeling good about themselves at the end, and you get a silver blanket, which I still have, which is Mylar, and so it keeps the heat in your body, and they give you carbohydrate drinks at the end to recover, and healthcare personnel and law enforcement all just really coming together as a city and, you know, celebrating a great sporting event that has such a long tradition. Well, my feelings were that, well, that was a terrible thing that happened to our country. That was a terrible thing that happened to the city of Boston, because, you know, a racing event is not a political event at all, and to target people like that, I think, was awful. The bomb did go off at the same time that I finished, so that made me think that all the people that were running at my level that were hurt by that bomb, the bomb that went off. And I mean, these were people who, most of them did not even qualify to run the marathon, and they were really running for causes and running to raise money, and it was terrible that they were targeted like that.